Welcome into Pressbox Live. I'm Stan Charles 23. He's Luke Jackson, and drinking some fresh Florida spring water is Ross Grimsley, the old, as we call him, the old 0.2%er.
0.2%er.
All right. Hey, let me get a couple pieces of business out of the way, and then we're going to preview Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, and we'll talk about the National League Series and any other baseball rumors going around, such as Bob Melvin to the San Francisco Giants and perhaps Stephen Vogt taking over for Terry Francona in Cleveland. We'll talk about those things as we move along. But what company has the expertise and technology to make your home substantially more energy efficient, comfortable, and even virus-free? That's AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com. And the Stan Charles 23 is up there for a reason. That's because we are backed by Superbook out of Las Vegas, the most trusted name in Vegas. And now is as good a time as any to sign up for the Superbook special offer by using promo code StanCharles23 to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code StanCharles23, all one word with no spaces. Don't miss out this season. Win some money with Superbook Sports and promo code StanCharles23. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER. I'll start with gaming on these games tonight. Ross Grimsley, do you feel like the panel did last night on Fox postgame that Max Scherzer will pitch significantly better this time around than having pitched for the first time since September, I think 14th or 15th, as he did in the first game, which was game 3 of the season.
It had been a month,
I
think, since he pitched, and with supposedly whatever injury problem it was, he gave up 5 runs. I bouncing back and pitching. Hey, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to pitch. Hopefully, he pitches better for the team. But Houston, I really like Houston. They're swinging the bats. Alvarez is on fire. They can't. They just might as well put him on first base and get the other.
Well, they're doing that a lot.
Yeah,
and
really.
In fact, as Luke pointed out to us before we went on the air, they changed the lineup a little bit.
No.
They now are batting out Bregman second after Altuve. They moved up Alvarez to 3, Abreu to 4, and they did something very interesting. They're playing Brantley in left field. He's batting 5, and then Tucker 6. Because what they were finding was that teams were just pitching around Alvarez and then pitching around him and basically walking him, even with a man on base.
Yeah.
Pitch to Abreu and then thinking, well, we'll get Tucker, who I think is like 5 for 34, Luke, in the series.
Yeah, he's really struggled. And we were talking about this before we went on the air. He actually attempted to bunt with men on first and second, and nobody down, I think in the 6th, 7th inning yesterday.
That was when he ended up walking, though, I think.
And this is the top RBI guy this year in the American League. And I asked Ross, when's the last time you think he squared up to bunt? And I'm thinking maybe at least 15 years ago. And so he's going in a bad way, and he's just, you can tell he's not seeing the ball very well. He's not particularly confident up there. But it can turn around like that, right? It can turn around quickly, and Houston certainly hopes that today is the day for Tucker, because listen, he was one of the best hitters, not just in the American League, but all of baseball when Alvarez was down. Because remember, they were without Altuve and Alvarez
at the same time,
and Tucker was the guy that kept them afloat. He was the guy who kept that offense steady. So they need that guy to return today.
They also are playing Chas McCormick today.
Yeah,
and not playing Mauricio Dubon, who has become a very valuable player for them, but not nearly the offensive danger.
Right. I think Dusty trusts Dubon in center field, but at this point, you need a little more offense, because I don't know if you can trade out offense for defense at 2 spots. He's already doing that at catcher because he's not playing Diaz because he trusts Maldonado behind the plate more than Diaz. I don't know if you can do that at another spot in your lineup too. So especially when you're struggling a little bit to score some runs. So we'll see how it shakes out. I'm super excited to see how this shakes out. I mean, Ross, you were talking about Scherzer. It's been a struggle for him in big games the last few years in the playoffs because at his age, when you're in your late 30s, I imagine that it's tougher to bounce back from injuries, and it's tougher to get to the finish line in seasons, right?
But you just watched him pitch, after a month off, and obviously he had his side work and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see he just wasn't quite as sharp. He wasn't able to make quality pitches. He's breaking balls off the plate. His fastball was elevated some. He just didn't have the sharpness that you'd hoped in a playoff game against a team like the Astros, who guys are going to step up. Altuve, Alvarez, and
Abreu's chipped in nicely.
Exactly. I mean, they're a team, and I said this way back when they were 4 or 5 games out. You always got to respect them because they find a way to win. They got a bunch of strong arm bullpen guys, so that's a plus. I just think I like Texas. I like Bochy. I like Dusty very well. I know them both. They're great baseball people and great guys also. But I kind of think Houston has the edge for me because they've been there. They've done it. They rise to the occasion. They come up with the big hit or the big pitch. Not that Texas can't do it, but I think Scherzer, like I said, he's at the back end of this. He's coming off an injury. I mean, he may suck it up and go out and pitch fantastic. That'd be great for him and the Rangers. But I'm leaning towards Houston.
Yeah.
How quickly, Ross, does manager Bruce Bochy move on from him if it's clear the first 2 innings that he's in a struggle?
Well, you'll know by how he attacks the hitters, and if he's able to locate pitches and able to locate pitches when he gets ahead in the count. I mean, that'll be they don't have the option of waiting. I mean, they got to go to the next guy, and like they said, all hands on deck. We'll use the peanut guy if we can get a guy out. So
Luke, have they even warmed up John Gray? I thought he was active.
Yeah, I think he might have pitched mop-up duty in like game 4, maybe one of those.
I didn't remember seeing him.
Yeah.
I didn't remember seeing him.
If this turns into a bullpen battle, it definitely favors the Astros. And one piece of news that just came down: Brian Abreu's suspension was upheld, but he's being allowed to serve it at the beginning of the regular season next year. So he's going to be available in the bullpen.
I think that's very. I wanted to ask both of you your opinion. They're trailing 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
There's already a runner on base, and Ross, and I know the prime time to hit somebody is when there's 2 outs and nobody on base.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll even give you 1 man on and 2 outs. There's nobody out. I don't know how 6 umpires. And then the league supported the idea of suspending this guy in the middle, and now they've backed off of that. The 2 games at the beginning of next year is meaningless.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying we kind of screwed up and overreacted.
I would think. Yeah. I mean, it was. Did he hit him on? Probably. For what? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. And
wanted to see, if nothing else, he wanted to scare him a little bit.
From my standpoint, I believe in that.
Right.
And just acting like a moron, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, and very easily they could have suspended the guy for attacking the catcher.
Right.
I mean, geez, come on, if you're going to go that far. But one of the things, if you let the players handle this like they've always done, you don't have a problem, and it's just gone. But did he hit him on purpose? I don't know. I would probably guess.
I would doubt that he hit him on purpose. I think he wanted to put the fear of God in him. I think he wanted to put the fear of God on him, so he didn't stand there and hit a home run off of him. But the notion that he would at that point in the game, and they ended up, the proof is in the pudding. They ended up winning the game 5-4 on a 3-run homer by Altuve, which wouldn't have been possible had they eked out one more run. They don't have the lead there, Luke.
Hey,
Yeah. I mean, that for me was one of the big, I don't know, things that went unnoticed during the game is that Ryan Presley came into that game, kind of a chaotic situation.
Yeah.
He got 3 guys out
and
got the Astros back in the dugout in a 2-run game. So I thought that was a big deal. And then the other thing, and this was touched on, that Leclerc, the Rangers closer, had a long sit because of all that nonsense in the bottom of the 8th inning. So, and
by the way, I point out Jose Leclerc, who's been their closer about 8 different times in his career, and he didn't take over until September 15th, 18th to be their closer. So it's not like he's really ramped up and ready to roll.
Right. And so, and you look at that Rangers bullpen going into the day, they might only have 2 reliable arms. One of them's Leclerc and the other one might be Spores, the Virginia kid. So, because the other guys who you might like in those spots, like Aroldis Chapman, is he going to throw strikes? I don't know.
Luke, I did the MLB power rankings every week, but I have to admit, when they acquired Chapman, the Rangers, like in July, early July, I think, which was very proactive of Chris Young to get somebody he thought could be the guy. But why exactly did they take Will Smith? He wasn't having a bad year at the time.
And Will Smith is a guy who has a lot of postseason experience.
Yeah.
He was a big part of that break.
Under Bochy, too.
Yeah.
Under Bochy.
Yeah. And so I'm not exactly sure what happened to Will Smith. I think what might have happened is that when he was in that closer role, right-handed hitters really hit him hard.
Okay.
Now, he's still been good against lefties.
Yeah. And the 3-man rule kind of.
Yeah, kind of messes.
You got to use him with 2, like the way they did Gunnar Henderson in the 5th inning with 2 outs.
Right.
They brought him in, he retired the guy, and then you can move on from him.
Right. And so I think you think of teams that make deep postseason runs as having really deep bullpens.
Yeah.
And
Texas Rangers do not.
That's not the case. And you could see with Montgomery and Eovaldi on the mound, Bruce was trying to squeeze out as many outs as he could get out of those guys. And boy, I love watching Eovaldi stand. He is a dog. We talk about
everybody likes him.
When you talk about dogs in the postseason, that dude is a dog.
Yeah. He wasn't a dog. He wasn't a dog enough for me. It cost me about $4,000. I had him on my fantasy team. He's the best pitcher in the American League. I had 2 pitchers that were pitching lights out, Ross. I had him, and I had Eduardo Rodriguez, who was pitching even better than him, gets a a pulley tendon in his pinky, in his left pinky, missed 6 weeks. And then coming out of the All-Star break, I think malpractice has to be the word to use by the Texas Rangers for pitching him in the All-Star break. And then coming out of the break, he didn't pitch for about 14 or 15 days. And they kept saying, well, and then I think he pitched 1 time. Then they said, well, he's got to go on the IL. He won 1 game in the second half of the year. And he's been the best pitcher in the world in the postseason, but it cost me $4,000 in fantasy baseball.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Man, he's fired up, Ross.
There you go. Hey, that's $4,000. That's $4,000 in your pocket there, buddy.
Actually, it would have only been $2,000 because my partners chip in quite a bit too. Yeah. Anyway, I just can't believe how well he's pitching now. And in the month of September, they started him 5 times. He didn't get 1 win, and his ERA was like over 9. But then he faced the Rays, he was great. Then he faced us, he was great. And now he's faced the Astros a couple times, and he's been great as well. So anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, the other series, I got to hand it to Torey Lovullo and the Diamondbacks. They have made it a series where it looked like it was a walkover by the Phillies. Kelly is going for the Diamondbacks, their second best pitcher. He's a solid right-handed pitcher. And pitching for the Phillies tonight is perhaps the guy who's pitched the best game in the postseason yet, Aaron Nola. Ross, you like Nola in this matchup in Philly?
Always liked him. Always liked the scene of him, and he's fun to watch, and he can be very effective, especially when he's on and cooking. So yeah, I look for him to shut down the Diamondbacks.
Nola never would have cost me $4,000 if I was in the
Never.
National League and had him. Luke, he and Wheeler have both pitched exceptionally well, but manager Rob Thompson is quick to get them out once they give up that first home run in the 5th or 6th inning.
Yeah, I guess he tries to be pro. He has the benefit that Bruce Bochy doesn't. He's got a pretty deep bullpen with a lot of live arms that he can turn to. Now,
one of them isn't Craig Kimbrell anymore.
It does not appear that Craig Kimbrell is in the circle of trust for Rob Thompson any longer.
No,
but he still has a lot of really live arms in that bullpen, like Jose Alvarado, Jeff Hoffman, guys like that he can turn to. Sarah Anthony Dominguez.
By the way, let me just jump in. Jeff Hoffman, Ross. You remember the point about Baltimore sports where Jeff Hoffman's name lurks in the history of Baltimore sports? He's the guy that Peter Angelos was demanding from the Toronto Blue Jays to let Dan Duquette. He asked for Hoffman and another top pitching prospect, like 2 pitching prospects.
Yeah.
They said, we like Dan, but not that much.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know just how good Nola had been during his Phillies career until I looked at his baseball reference page when he was, pitching one of these games. I'm like, wow. I mean, he's been terrific. He misses a lot of bats. He gets a ton of ground balls. He doesn't walk anybody.
Is he a free agent, Luke? Coming up?
And that's what I was about to get to. He is a free agent.
He's a rich young man then.
And I would imagine that he is going, and he took a very team-friendly extension from the Phillies the last go around. There will be no hometown discount this time around.
He could make Grimsley money this offseason.
He could make Grimsley. He could make Grimsley money this offseason. Apparently the Phillies.
Hey, he's never won 20 games, Ross.
Apparently the Phillies tried to talk to him in spring training about another extension, and they were pretty far apart. I would imagine. And once you get this far, I would imagine that he's interested to see what his value on the open market is. So he's going to be a very rich young man shortly.
Luke, what do you think that figure will be? Will it be 30 million plus?
I was thinking
25 plus.
I was thinking in the 6-year, $150 million range.
Yeah. That's Grimsley money, I'll tell you.
You can play a lot of golf with that.
You can certainly play it.
You eat a lot of crabs too.
So let's just pretend we'll do pretensies on both sides of this. Let's assume for a moment that the Phillies will win out today or tomorrow. It's definitely not over yet, but let's assume that. Do you like them against Texas? Do you like them against Houston? Ross, you go first.
Yeah. They've been playing very well.
Yeah.
And, Harper has been, he's been a catalyst for them. And like you said, Wheeler has pitched well. The kid tonight's pitched well. Their bullpen at one point during the season was atrocious, and they have turned that around. So they could be the dark horse I think Houston will go again.
Yeah.
And the Phillies with what they have pitching in the bullpen, they could be the world champions.
Luke, one of the things that Dave Dombrowski learned last year, he learned a valuable lesson, was that I've got to match what Houston has in the pen in terms of length of arms. Mm-hmm. And he's done that with the acquisition of Huffman, the way they use Sir Anthony Dominguez, and the acquisition of Giovanni Soto. What's his first name? Giovanni or Germonte?
Gregory Soto.
Gregory Soto, the guy from the Tigers.
Yeah.
So he's created some length in that bullpen, and that's what you need in this postseason, especially when these games aren't decided as freakishly as the regular season games. And I have to be honest, I'm still fine with the ghost runner in the regular season.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that it goes back to old fashioned baseball.
I think
in the
most people agree with you. And yeah, I mean, I was of the opinion prior to this postseason that you needed that kind of bullpen in order to make a deep run. And yet here are the Rangers, one win away from the World Series. I will say about the Rangers is that they've been able to lean very heavily on their top two starters, and they've been able to win those games from those top two starters. So usually you need a bullpen as kind of a buffer where if something goes, because we know how the playoffs go, where usually you have these two starters who you really like, and then the other games are basically bullpen games.
All right. So let's get back to it. Ross, you pick me the winner. Let's assume for a moment the Phillies are in. Do they beat the Texas Rangers? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Do they beat the Houston Astros? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So he likes Philly as a second team. Luke, how about you?
I've thought this month that the Phillies were going to win it all. I'm going to stick with that. The Phillies are going to finish what they started last year. Phillies are going to win it all.
I'm in agreement with Luke Jackson. And you know what that means? If you use promo code StanCharles23, you can go to Superbook and sign up for a starter and make your first bet and get a $250 first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code StanCharles23, one word, no spaces. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER. Let me tell folks, and then we're going to get into some baseball stuff that's going on off the field. But let me tell folks about the Costas Inn, where 2 weeks ago tonight, we were sitting and eating. Ross Grimsley and his family had large crabs, very meaty, tasted great. Tell me when I'm wrong, Ross.
No, you got it all, buddy.
All right. And Mr. Luke Jackson, once he found the right restaurant, we only do the ad for the Costas Inn every Monday on the show, but Luke somehow made it over to our friends at Pappas. I haven't told Nick that yet. He's going to be really ticked. He's going to be ticked. But Justin at Pappas, also a fine sponsor, will be very proud of you. But Luke had a great crab cake there, and I had the meal. I had something that I've had there off and on. Always tasty, meaty. The pork chops were absolutely special. The Costas Inn, that's just an example of it. Crabs, crab cake, crab soup, great. Check, check, check. And they've got a special every night of the week, Monday through Friday. They're there 7 days a week. The Costas Inn. Check out their website. You can order carry out online, pay for it online. Don't even have to get out of your car if that's what you want to do. 4100 North Point Boulevard, the Costas Inn. Ross, I know you can't give away inside information. I know you're very friendly with somebody high up in the Giants organization, name is Shane Turner. And I don't know if you've talked to him or not, but it sounds like it's shaping up. It broke the other day that the San Francisco Giants wanted to talk to Bob Melvin to be their next manager. There was one problem. He's got another year to go in San Diego, but there's no surprise there that San Diego, where it's rumored pretty loudly that he and AJ Preller can't stand one another. They've kind of talked over that. Oh, that's not the case, but they can't stand each other. And they gave the Giants permission to talk to him. That sounds like it's a done deal that Bob Melvin will be the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
More that sounds more than likely. I haven't got any information other than what I've heard and seen, in the media sources and stuff. But yeah, that would be great, I think, for the Giants to have someone of his background and
that's his dream job because he's a Bay Area guy.
Yeah.
It's perfect job. And I think working with Farhan Zaidi, he'll find a lot more enjoyable than working under AJ Preller.
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't seem who doesn't seem to understand the word chemistry
Yeah,
exists when
exactly,
building a team.
exactly. And I'm sure going to the Giants and getting more of a free hand than the previous manager there had, Kapler. You know, and if they let him do his thing and they don't stick their noses in with the analytics too much and let him do it, they'll be successful. I mean, and I'm not saying analytics is bad. There's a place for them.
Yep.
But ever since they went heavy into it and got away from using your eyes a little bit more, instincts and that type of thing, they haven't had the success they had in the you know the time they won, you know, from 10 to 10, 12, and 14. That went by the wayside. And when they got heavy into analytics, they started doing some crazy things, and it took away from the way they run way the team played. And that was when they got 13, they had 13 coaches. They had 13 coaches in the dugout. You know,
This is the Padres.
No, this was the Giants.
The Giants. Okay.
The Giants, and they had 13 coaches, and
that seems
on
excessive.
the team.
That seems excessive.
And
that's despicable that they had 13 coaches and they couldn't fit you in to add to your major league pension.
my time's away. I'm done with that. I'm done with it. I have nothing to do with it. I don't want
13 coaches. What the hell do they have? A coach going to the bathroom with players?
Camaraderie coach.
A camaraderie coach.
Hey, oh yeah. I kid you not.
I don't think Bob Melvin will need a camaraderie coach.
No. They let him do his thing. I'm serious with the camaraderie thing.
Now look, the Padres still have him under contract. The Giants, most notably, will probably have to give up somebody if they want to sign Bob Melvin. Agreed, Luke?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, MLB might have some precedent that because
it's probably already been discussed what the compensation would be.
Like MLB might say, because he's under contract, we would, prefer, have some compensation. I think the last time though, when Melvin was in Oakland, they just let him out of his contract. They let him go to San Diego. So I don't know. I think both things are possible. But this would leave an opening in San Diego, and
so let's go to that. Rumors have been around for a while, and Ross, I'm not contending you know him well, but Ryan Flaherty, who was a part-time infielder, Rule 5 guy that Duquette picked up, and Buck took a liking to, and by all intents and purposes, he's moved up quickly. He was a bench coach to Bob Melvin out there in San Diego, and he's managed a couple games when Melvin has been away from the team. But here's AJ Preller. He's hired Andy Green, first-time manager, strikeout. Hired Jace Tingler, first-time manager, strikeout. Gets to hire a name manager, Bob Melvin. It's essentially been, well, not a strikeout. He made it last year to the league championship series, Bob Melvin. How many managers does a general manager usually get to pick? This would be, it seems like, the fourth and last one.
Stan, I don't think it's a manager problem. I
don't think it is either.
You got some people there that are supposed to be leaders that aren't, and that they've invested a lot of money. And if you put two and two together, you see what needs to be, I think, needs to be done and eliminated, and go from there. But I mean, you had one of the better managers on there, and you need to go where the problem is and take care of that. And then, especially when you got X number of dollars, a lot of number of dollars involved there, you need to take care of what the problem is.
Luke, does this open a slight opening for Buck Showalter, who has a history with Manny Machado, and maybe the feeling is we ought to get somebody that we know has a history with him that can kind of bring out the best in him, or is it too far gone, that they know Manny is a load to handle?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to bring in somebody that Manny will respect and listen to, I think Buck would probably be your best bet. And whether Manny would go to bat for Buck with ownership, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything bad about their relationship, so I have no reason to think that Manny wouldn't want Buck back in as his manager. So I think that is a possibility for Buck. I think that the Angels were also mentioned as a possibility for Buck. I do think that Buck still wants to manage.
Yep.
And he's 4-time manager of the year. I would think that there are a lot of owners out there who would be intrigued by that. So yeah, I think there could possibly be an opening for Buck.
Yeah, and I don't see Preller being able to pick a Ryan Flaherty. I just don't think he can risk going the first timer again and then realizing 3 months into next season, geez, whiz. Because to me, that's where an owner comes in and says, "You made another mistake here."
Well, in that case, say they don't go with Buck, say they don't go with Flaherty, would they just go with Mike Schilt, who was on staff?
Mike Schilt is a possibility. Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, because he was a former National League Manager of the Year too, I think, with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I mean, he had a very successful tenure. He had differences with the front office about, I think, the amount of input that the front office wanted on
lineups and
things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that could be a solution down there as well.
One more question, Ross. It was rumored the other day that Gabe Kapler might interview for the Boston Red Sox general manager's job. We found out that Kim Ng declined the opportunity to invite. I think the reputation of the Red Sox is in descendancy, not ascending right now, as a place that's a healthy place to operate out of.
Yeah, well, that's going that route with Kapler, and I kind of scratched my head when I heard that.
Yeah,
but they seem to have a lot of work to be done up there, and I would think you would want to get somebody with a track record of some kind to do that, and getting a first year person that's never done it or been around that. I was really surprised to hear that about Kapler being interviewed for that. But the Red Sox, great tradition. I mean, they've struggled the last several years, and just they got a little bit of things they got to put together to get back on the winning track.
I'll tell you, I just know the owner there, John Henry, is a handful, and I know at the end of the line, Theo wasn't getting along. First, Theo wasn't getting along with Lucchino, and then John Henry kind of moved that buffer out of the way, and he wanted out anyway. But boy, if the two of them, it's almost like a Parcells and Jerry Jones thing. If the two of them could get together again, they got the $3 million a year it would take to bring Theo Epstein on board, I think.
Well, they got the money there. It's just like the Giants. The Giants, they have plenty of money.
Tons of money.
They're probably in the sweepstakes for Ohtani.
No question about it.
Would be my guess. And but these guys with some cash, they can put together something, but they just got to get somebody to orchestrate it, and conduct the party.
One more rumor today, Luke. You sent me something. I think it was on Twitter about the Cleveland Guardians are interested. And it appears Stephen Vogt, who would be a first-time manager, just retired, would be a possibility. He didn't play this year, did he?
Correct. He was on
the Diamondbacks staff.
Let me check.
I forget who he was with. That wasn't the Oakland A's. I think it was the Diamondbacks.
He was. No, I can't find
it. Okay.
I
think it was the Diamondbacks, but anyway, he'd be a first-time manager, and the rumor is he's the leading candidate right now with the Cleveland Guardians. So that's
and he had a really good reputation as a player and as a catcher of being a leader. And
I always liked Stephen Vogt.
And so that name isn't surprising, especially considering he got right into coaching. So.
Luke, you and I were talking about it. The Guardians probably see him as this guy's like Kevin Cash. And we let Kevin Cash get away because we had just hired Francona. and we couldn't stand in the way of him getting a managerial job. But now he's 38 years old. They might see him as the type of guy, he'll be in Cleveland for the long haul.
Yeah,
10 to
I would
12
think
years.
I would think that you hire someone like Stephen Vogt, who's 38 years old, with the idea that this is going to be your manager for the next 10 to 15 years, and not
Rather than Sandy Alomar, who might be deserving of an opportunity, but may be aged out now for a managerial opportunity.
correct.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, thanks tonight. Starting in just about 5 minutes, Luke.
Yep.
Phillies in Arizona at Citizen Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia. It's game 6. Phillies lead 3-2. Nola versus Merrill Kelly. And then tonight at 8 o'clock or 8:03 at Houston's Minute Maid Park, it'll be Christian Javier against Max Scherzer, game 7 in that series. All right. For Luke Jackson, Ross Grimsley, and myself, Stan the Fan Charles, we thank our sponsors, AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, Superbook Sports. Use promo code StanCharles23 to get that first bet, $250 win or lose first bet bonus, and also our friends at the Costas Inn. That does it for me. I'll be back probably Thursday night with a guest. Thank you.